Hello and welcome to Movie Buffs, a show that covers the best action films of all time. I'm your host, Cisco, aka Misfit Minded. You can find me on Twitter at rampage_misfit and at my movie pages at misfit_minded on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And I'm your host, Shanny B. You can find me on all the socials at Shanny B Movies.
And today we're talking about the 1993 film Blood In, Blood Out, aka Bound by Honor. If you haven't seen it, it's the coming of age story of three Latino boys from East Los Angeles who are part of a gang, Vatos Locos. Then there's some jail stuff, there's some crime stuff. We'll talk about it. What did you think, Shani B?
I mean, I really loved this movie. It gave me the feels of the Basketball Diaries, which is a movie from the 90s that is like the coming of age tale of three white kids in New York that sort of have their
Mm-hmm.
own version of these kinds of trials and tribs. But, seeing this one in East LA was just really exciting because living in Los Angeles for such a long time now, I feel very connected to wanting to know the history of these pieces of the city. So I think I like geeked out just as a person, and there were so many things in this movie I hadn't thought about in terms of the prison system. Just I'm glad you brought up the prison stuff because I'm interested in how like this
Yeah.
movie is so cool. It's too cool. Okay. Also, it made me think so much of Shia LaBeouf's character in The Tax Collector. He reminded me so much
Oh,
of
yeah.
Miklo, as if he did some character study by watching this movie. Or I bet if you asked him about it, he'd be like, "Yeah, I know that movie. It's important to me." So I can't
Yeah.
forget.
He watched it before, definitely, that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. As the white
Uh,
guy in the Mexican gang.
yes, yes, who's like doing an accent that I'm not sure how he got away with, but he gets away with a lot of stuff he shouldn't. So, yeah,
This is
I
true. This is true.
I am a fanny bee of this movie. I
All
I
right.
liked it. I'm happy we did it. What about you?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I generally liked it. Definitely pretty hammy and like melodramatic at times, where it felt like an after school special.
Yes.
Um like in there was a part where one of the guys was like, I can't. What did he say? The guy that was addicted to drugs, and he was like, "Don't give me the lecture, man." And I was like, "Okay, this is like the lecture
Yes.
about like
Yes.
drugs are bad, gangs are bad."
Yes, don't leave
Um,
your needles out because kids who should
yeah,
definitely know better are still gonna try to do the heroin, which cold, cold. But
yeah.
I think that melodrama.
It goes in some dark places.
Yes.
uh, and look, yeah, it's kind of soap opery, but there's some good stuff in here. Like in if you can tolerate that, to keep it like interesting, some good filmmaking, some good acting all around. Um, I would say like the bond between the three leads, the three brothers, is probably the strongest acting bits of the film, and then yeah, just like the kind of taking you into gang life from when these guys are 18, which is a
Mhm.
big stretch for some of these like
Yeah, they definitely
when
did not look 18.
when when I forget, like when the mom was like, Miklo, I can't believe you're 18 already. I was like, whoa.
Mm,
We're really
little
just gonna,
stretching. Mhm.
yeah, stretching it. But then like as they age into their characters, it gets a little more believable and yeah, hardcore, I would say. Especially when they get into the, gang violence and prison stuff. So yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I agree that the melodrama was something I wasn't sure. I guess I wasn't sure how to feel about, but this movie being 3 hours long meant that I was never gonna sit still for it. That was gonna be
Yeah.
impossible because I just can't do that. So I watched it in pieces, and I actually think that the melodrama helped me not lose the emotional thread that this movie was trying to keep me basically engaged in for 3 hours straight, and so I feel like I kind of liked the melodrama-ness of it, but I
Hmm.
was curious if that I guess I was, like, curious if that was more about the time and, like, the way movies kinda I guess, like, did paint up these stories or try to turn them into something to something else rather than, like, the gritty way we would maybe see the same story told today.
Mhm.
But that's why it gave me the feels of The Basketball Diaries, because The Basketball Diaries is also like, this is so serious. It truly happened to the guy that, like, wrote this memoir, but there's, like,
Mhm.
something pretty hammy about it too, and I don't know, I guess you know Shanny B, she likes that shit.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think that's part of it, definitely, like, I'm thinking of, like, The Substitute with, Belushi and,
Yes.
and, like, a lot of them that, like, take place at schools, you know what I mean, and have
Dangerous
this, like,
Minds.
message of, yeah, this person is gonna come into school and just, like, there's all this drama going on, and this authority figure has to come in, and,
And save
they're
one of these kids.
literally after school specials there. So I think it's part of that. We can get into some of our nitpicks. I think this is a good time to talk about it, just because, yeah, the
Please.
biggest one for me was just Miklo. Like, why, like, the believability factor, if you want to be taken seriously as a gang crime movie, there
Mhm.
weren't a lot of white dudes in Mexican gangs back then.
Yeah, yeah,
And so it's very strange choice, but I also, again, if we're talking about the times, we need a white person to identify with because,
what
God forbid a Latino lead a movie.
y
So
It's true. It's true, especially because they did tap
it was
it a
weird.
few times. Yeah, like, they talked about it a few times, and they were like, "Your dad being white is, like, the problem with why, now you are too entwined in the violence, brotherhood in prison." Like, that's something
Mhm.
Benjamin Bratt kind of harps on throughout, and so I thought that was an interesting thing, but I agree that, like, it was annoying that we spent so much time with Miklo. Like, I
Yeah.
liked all the stuff in prison because, like, that was a cool movie. Like, I was like, "You know what? I'm trying to see this as a whole movie because this is really, really cool." But it
Right.
being mostly focused on Miklo kind of sucked because I wanna know what it's like for Brat being on the street in his neighborhood and trying to save the
Mhm.
people of his hood. I wanna know more about what's going on with Cruz, who basically is, like, right on the edge of getting out, but because of drugs, it's hard for him to escape. And I just feel like maybe the more authentic story is the one that suffered, so we could, like, go to prison and do a lot of caricature stuff in there.
Yeah. It definitely felt like that, where it's just like, when he's got the shades and, like, the top button, and just like it's just like this guy is cosplaying as a Mexican gang
That's what I
member.
thought, but I was like, "You can't be offended on behalf of," like, you know what I mean? I was like, "You can't do that classic white girl
Oh,
thing of being like, 'I am
yeah.
offended,' so I tried my
Oh, I
best to
can say
just
it. I can
accept
say
it.
it
Thank
as part
you.
Mexican.
I appreciate
That
you
was it was
advocating."
pretty corny, and, like, what you were saying, it was just like there were plenty of times when, like, I was like, "Oh, this character is way more interesting. Why aren't we following the artist? Why aren't we following the cop? Why aren't we following the leader of the gangs in jail?" But it's like, no, we have to have Miklo here to let you know that, like, it's this white kid that's being corrupted by all of this.
Yes.
So it just it was weird. I mean, even from, like, the opening where it's like that flashback of his dad, like, slapping him around, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh boy."
Yep. Yep, here we go. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah, I guess, like, that's exactly it. It sort of starts there, but it
Uh,
doesn't really end there, and it's
no,
true.
definitely
It
not.
it it ha it feels a little superficial, that piece of the story, because I feel like they didn't really get to ever wrap up the brotherhood between Miklo and Cruz, like Miklo and
Yeah.
Benjamin Bratt's character, they still had an
Well,
ongoing
we'll talk
story.
about it in the trivia.
Okay. Oh,
Um, well, I guess
nice.
I can just put it here, I guess,
Yeah,
because there's a
throw it
lot.
in.
But it was supposed to be like the original cut was like 5 hours long, supposedly.
Let's go.
And so they had
Where
to
do I
cut
get
out a
that?
bunch of stuff. And I think there was, oh, it's kind of confusing the way it was written, but like they had what would be like three movies, I guess, worth of story. So like the first part was like ended where Miko got shot by Paco,
Okay.
and then the second movie was like prison. So I feel like we got those two, but then it was like the third movie was like allegedly the leader's daughter like growing up to be like a queen pin and then like getting revenge on Miklo at the end or whatever.
What? That's
I
let's go.
don't know if they ever filmed that. I don't know. It's like I said, it's kind of confusing. I don't know if that's like what they were planning to do, or I definitely know there was like a subplot with Paco and his wife, which was like she's barely shown, if at all, in the
Y
movie. Uh,
yeah.
and but you can see her in the trailer. Like they definitely shot that stuff, but they cut
Okay.
that. So, but yeah, five
Wow.
hours into 3 hours. And so, yeah, maybe the ending, the Miklo ending, is in there somewhere. Because yeah, I'm with you. It was like he's just the kingpin in jail. Now he's the
Yes. Well, I mean, also, like, he did it so dirty,
yeah,
like,
everybody.
oh, man, he was gnarly, because, yeah,
For
I feel
somebody
like
that was preaching about loyalty and brotherhood and whatever, like,
I
come
know.
on, man.
I feel like it's a 3-hour movie from, like, 30 years ago, so I feel bad, like, putting the spoilers out there because I want the same I loved watching this movie because I
Yeah.
was feeling the tension. Like, there's definitely
Mhm.
melodrama, but there are some moments in the prison scenes where I'm
Yeah.
like, "Please don't crash into that wall that you're driving towards full speed. Please don't do it."
Yeah.
And they did it anyway. So
Mhm.
I agree that like it Miklo really the shock of Miklo's journey
Mhm.
is a good twist, but it's like unearned because I'm like, fuck you for doing it, man. Like
Mhm.
it's a gnarly move, but again, like it's like the half white kid that did it, so it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, it's a journey. It's a journey, alright. It's like The Hobbit, as in a 3-hour journey. Uh,
I mean,
and then
yes.
the last one I had that I just was like, I mean, the character did his job just, by being, like, so snaky and, like, conniving or whatever, but Popeye, like, ever since they were in prison, I hated this guy, and then they
Yes.
get out, and he's supposed to be the one looking after Miklo. He just does everyone so dirty, does
He's such a
Miklo
piece of
dirty.
shit. Mhm.
Yes, and I'm just like, this guy, and like, in prison too, everyone's like, "You owe me money," like, "Where's the," and I'm just like, "This guy would not have made it." Like, I just feel like he
Yes.
would have, like, gotten jumped or beaten to, like, an inch of his life or just killed because, like, they're putting up with him for what reason? Like, because, like, what is he providing for them? I guess I just wasn't clear on that.
Nope. Nope.
Because, yeah,
Same.
he's just doing every like, diming on everybody, is the reason why Miklo loses his leg because he,
Yeah, because he
rats
t
them out
rats
to
him
the
out.
cops, like, it's yeah, Popeye, what a piece of shit. I hated
It's
that
true. I was
character.
waiting for hours for him to die because, for kills, I was thinking, like, "I'm sure this one's gonna be real
Oh, I lost you
rewarding."
on the audio, hold on.
Oh, let me know. Did
I
I
might just
come
have to reconnect.
Okay, no worries.
Mm.
Oh, those beautiful birds in the
Alright,
background.
try talking now. There you go. Go
You
ahead.
got me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I was waiting for him to die because I was sure that it would be super gratifying because the kills in this are, like, actually pretty dope, so I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
for sure when he was gonna pay good, and I felt really disappointed that he just kept being a total slime. Like, yeah, just totally screwing everyone over and never being made to pay for it. Not cool. Not
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all I had for, I mean, like I said, Miklo was the biggest one, the one that goes through the whole movie. Very hard to get over that, but he did a valiant job. I'll say that. The actor did a valiant he definitely committed to that role like Shia LaBeouf did in the Tax
It
Collector. So
yes.
I guess that's all I can ask for. But yeah, did you have anything that you couldn't go over?
I mean, I think I agree, the melodrama of some
Yeah.
of the moments that were meant to, like, raise the stakes in some ways are what tripped me up here and there, but I think, like, the biggest takeaway for me and, like, question I have about reality ultimately is, like, the whole, operation of like, just selling drugs in really dynamic and creative ways, the idea that you
Mhm.
could sell it on the streets, and then people could get addicted to it, and then they could go to jail because they had it on their person and be addicted, so then you could also make money off of them once they got to jail, like, made my head explode, and I just thought that sucks because the enterprising thought is totally lost and people are going to die because of it, but
Mhm.
so smart. So smart at the same time.
Yeah, and the I saw your piece too on the little boy too that, like, just sees a needle and immediately, like,
Come on, come on,
is like, "What is this?" Like, I don't
right?
know, yeah, I'm with you on that, like, the cigarette made sense, I mean, we were all that age once, and, like, I
That's
wonder
true.
what it's like, we're not people say we're not supposed to do it, but as far as a needle, I feel like I wouldn't just be like, "Hey,"
Well,
but,
as
you know, they're trying to make a message about it,
that's true.
so
Yeah, the heavy-handed message parts I didn't love that much, but I guess I was curious about the prison stuff too, because I was conscious of that too, thinking, like, a lot of what's going on in these prison sequences is also kind of caricature-esque, like,
yeah.
sure, there truly are prison gangs, and yes, like, the most vile white dudes of all time are there, so I felt like they nailed that part of it, but I feel like some of the Latino gangs and the Black gangs were, like, not really treated with an
Yeah,
authentic treatment, like, at all, even though,
right.
Delroy Lindo was there being a baller.
Like always, like he always is.
Exactly.
Um, yeah. Yeah, what about, as far as filmmaking, we can get into what were some of your favorite, like, pieces of that?
Oh man, I mean, I guess the prison stuff really is what I take away the most from this. Just
Mhm.
the fact that like so many people showed up there, Billy Bob Delroy being there, Trejo being there, just like so many people all of a sudden being like, "Oh, wow, you're in this movie too. Amazing." I That really stuck with me. And also, I think the tension of those sequences where I wasn't really sure how people could get away with murder in prison. I hadn't thought about it in a serious way, and this movie made me be like, "Dude, I never wanted to go to prison, straight up, but, like, now I really don't wanna go." It's
Yeah.
not Orange is the New Black in there, you guys. It really isn't.
Yeah, I'm with you. It almost felt like, um 'cause, like, what you were saying about, like, the melodrama kind of keeping you invested or whatever, like, I did feel like there were certain, like, kind of moments for me that was like, "Okay, now the energy is kind of being brought back." So, like, the prison sequence definitely was, like, one of those where it's like, the director you could almost feel like, man, the director really wanted to make maybe like a prison movie over like
Yes.
this epic life story because like once it got to the prison stuff, it was like very intense and like you see the whole ecosystem, like how it's working, how um like they're passing the money, the bets or whatever, and it's like
Yes.
so that stuff was like, yeah, that stuff was really captivating for me too. And then yeah, he has to, prove himself, so he has to kill the chef, which was like super intense. And yeah, like
Very rewarding though, because that
again, like kind
actor.
of funny too that he has to
Yeah.
like seduce the chef.
Yes, yes, but also so
But I guess
rewarding.
like when you're in prison, you do have to do what you have to do.
Yes. And yeah, I feel like
um,
that stuff was all
but
real
yeah, I
because
mean,
to
but
your
so yeah,
point about
I'm the prison stuff was some of the best for sure, filmmaking wise, I would say, and definitely the most action.
yes, yes, and the most, like, authentic performances are coming out of there, like that chef guy getting killed was really rewarding because he was so despicable, like, his character was really good,
Yeah.
what he had to do, how Miklo had to feel, all that was good, like, Popeye tried to assault him up in there too, it just, like,
Oh yeah,
nowhere
that
was
was
safe to just,
no.
be in this place, and so, yeah, I feel like that him proving himself in that way was pretty gnarly, but I think my favorite of them all is that final sequence when the big coup is taking place and the Dia de
Mm,
los Muertos festival is happening in slow-mo
yes.
and the intercutting.
Yep.
That was pretty baller, like, that made me be like, "Damn, I've been sitting for this movie for" it took me days to watch this movie, and it has been worth it.
Damn. Uh, yeah, that was to me, that was, like, one of the standout sequences too, for sure, like, it's the famous Godfather, intercutting with the baptism, thing, but, like, in this instance, yeah, it's Dia de los Muertos, and they set it up like we're gonna celebrate the Mexican holiday, and
Together.
then when they, yeah, then when they do, and then he like, yeah, double crosses the black gang, which is fucked up. It was super fucked up.
Gnarly.
I did, yeah,
I gnarly,
um,
gnarly, gnarly, and then that's just, like, the beginning of how the last, like, 10 minutes there are just, like, a couple of shock bombs dropped where you're like, "That too?
yeah, whoa,
Oh."
yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm with you. Like that, I thought that sequence was really well done. I also like. I think the first half is definitely better because like the last half, I felt it like starting to drag when it not the Benjamin Bratt like police stuff, but it was like he goes back to prison,
Yeah.
Miklo,
Yep.
and then it's like the whole him becoming a kingpin. I thought that kind of lost me a little bit in terms of and until that coup part. That coup was like the best part, but I thought like when it first started though, it did have like this like really um powerful like energy of like, okay, you get these brothers and
Yes.
they're all hanging out, they're partying, you can tell they have a really good bond, and then you see like they're beefing with like the local gangs,
That's
and that
right.
leads to all of those like early scenes where um they're spray painting. Miklo smashes the window,
Yep.
and then they're like, "We'll wait till the next day," and they kind of jump them there, and then there's that police chase. It's
Yeah,
back to back to back to back, like really intense stuff, and then yeah, and then they they paralyze dude by smashing him over the fire hydrant. I was like, God damn.
gnarly. Gnarly.
Some really gnarly violent scenes in this movie out of nowhere, like in the middle of the melodramatic stuff.
Well, that's exactly it, like, definitely trying
Yeah.
to stress the point that no matter where you go, it's unsafe, right? Like, it's unsafe in
Hmm.
your area because even with your boys, you could be just hooking up with a girl, and they can drop you on a fire hydrant and ruin the whole rest of your life. So,
Hmm.
I agree that that early stuff has some good things, and, like, Benjamin Bratt being, like, so fiery was like pretty
Hmm.
cool actually. I don't love it because he was so dangerous and like ultimately, the series of events where that amazing retaliation scene during the day takes place where he's like,
Yeah.
we're not scared to come for these fools like straight up in daylight was is pretty awesome too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then yeah, he carves the Vatos Locos in the chest, which was gnarly. And then they let him go though, but then he has to shoot last minute. So it was, yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot early on, but I think that's like important. So where you kind of care about these characters and where they're going, and um, it might have bitten off a little more than they could chew. Like I said, what you said with 3 hours being a lot of movie. But yeah, overall, I mean, I think we can get into the performances here. Who you think gave some of the best ones? I mean, for me, like you said, Benjamin Bratt, I think has to do a lot of different versions of, like you say, he has to play the fiery teenage version, but then he has to play like the Marine, like the stiff Marine, and then
Yes.
he's in this like, and then he's in this like ridiculous like hippie Serpico outfit,
Yes,
where that
undercover, working vice and
that I
shit.
immediately I immediately knew. I was like, this is he's undercover. Like I was like, there's no way.
Yeah,
Uh,
that this happened to him after he got out of the military. But it was just like
yeah.
Jarhead, they got arrested and Miklo went to jail and he went
Hmm.
into the military.
Yep. Yeah, and then that was another thing where um they don't explain a lot of the other characters. It's just like they check in on each other here and there.
Mhm.
So it's like when they get busted, Miklo and Paco, you follow Miklo, but then you don't know what happens to Paco. So I'm like, maybe did he go to jail with them? Did he go to a different jail or whatever? Like, what
Mhm.
happened? And then like, yeah, it's revealed that he went to the Marines. And then when he got back, yeah, being an undercover cop with Biff from Back to the Future, which
Yes.
was pretty,
Right?
which was
Another
wild.
surprise.
Yeah, which was pretty wild. I love that in that undercover scene too. I thought again, really good energy to it. Where like these two women are like they're in this drug deal, but there's this like seduction game going on too, where they're like,
Mhm.
we're like, okay, they're like, you ever been in a threesome before? Like,
Yes!
it
Yeah, like,
was
ha
the energy in that scene was like really, I was like, it was unpredictable. I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but this is, and then yeah, it, she pulls down his shirt. Like, I think that was intentional, definitely too. Like they were trying to feel him like out
see if
to
they
see
could
what was in,
trust him.
yeah, and then she was like feeling for a wire and found the wire or whatever, and led to a huge shootout. So that was
So
another
awesome.
good action scene. Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
then he's
it's
running
true.
around with in his boxers to chase the car down.
So good. It's like, why didn't we have a little bit more balance where we could have more of that stuff?
I
Because
loved it. Yeah,
yeah,
I
2
loved his that
ladies
little
being in
moment.
charge, like him taking down a couple of lady, kingpins was
Yeah,
pretty dope too.
yeah. And then she had that really awesome gun too with like the four chambers where
Yes.
she like that was like, and then she like points at his dick and she's
Yeah, she's like, "Are you ready for this?"
yeah. I was like, man, this is really uncomfortable, but like I can't not watch at the same time.
Yes.
So yeah, him. Then yeah, you have the artist Cruz, who again, like he was like, I mean, again, this movie is very obvious and how like where it's telegraphed. So like as soon as you're like, he has a scholarship for his art, and
And it's like, he's definitely not gonna
it's
get to
like,
follow through
oh,
on that,
so
sadly.
he's either going to die or there's something tragic going to happen. And so then yeah, he gets paralyzed. He starts taking heroin for the pain.
Mhm.
And then again, we don't get I feel like we don't get enough of that guy, but like he was really good. The actor was really
Yeah, we
good.
only get to see that scene where somehow his art has gotten him to a place where like some white woman from Beverly Hills is like, just keep your
Oh
friends out so
yeah.
we can sell your art.
I
And
love that scene too. I really love
like,
that scene.
yeah, his friends
Uh
coming through and like talking shit about the art and
yeah.
him and everything. That was so fun because it really does show that like the passion is captured in the art. And I liked the
Mm.
juxtaposition of how like all these art collectors, they don't want like what is in the art. They just want to be buying the art, you know?
I was gonna say that too, where it's like they it's like, yeah, like where people talk about like cultural appropriation, and it's like, yeah, you respect the art or the culture that comes out of, in this case, like Mexicans, but you don't actually respect Mexicans. And like, yeah, they're drunk and they're acting a fool or whatever, but uh,
But it's
it's
true.
yeah, the way they're all looking at them, and like, his friends like can't even get in. He's like, you see me on that picture? That's my ticket. That's
Yes.
like I love that, and yeah, and then like the fact that he's doesn't even have money to like take home at the end of the night, like where she's like, that's not how it works, and it's like,
Well, I need
that's
something.
unfortunate too, where it's like, yeah, he's an artist, but he's not seeing his pay. Like, what's this all about? And you see her like before that scene where she's like kind of negotiating without him with somebody else, and I
Mhm.
was like, I was like, I mean, I guess there are those people that are whatever, like art dealers, but still, like if this guy's struggling, like damn, throw him a bone.
But it's also like they're helping you understand that it isn't just about like removing yourself from an environment that is not going to help you thrive. It's also like the realization that the external environments seek to exploit as well. Like that's
Yeah.
why the stuff in prison is so powerful when he's like, in here we have to stand together because it's like a different world. Like we could fight out there
Hmm.
or whatever, but not in here. And I think, out there they're sort of saying like when Miklo tries to go straight, like his boss is like, nah, like I know that you need this job more than I need you, so
Yeah.
I can exploit you here. Like Cruz's art.
Constantly exploited. Yeah.
Exactly. No matter
Constantly.
where they go, they want someone to sort of do something for them. And even in a way, that's kind of what Brat is facing being a police officer, like, a reformed Vatos Locos guy.
Hmm.
Which
Yeah.
was just the best. But
um
like that, I think that being a parent in each of their lives was an important piece of this since they were going to make Miklo be the center too. I'm glad they didn't forget to
mhm.
be mindful that
Yeah,
like
it was a little unbalanced, like with Miklo being 60% and then Brat and Brago, the other dude, getting like 40, like if
Yeah,
that,
it's splitting
where it was
40.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like that's what was tough about it, where it's like you get like kind of what they wanted to do, but like it's like they really loved Miklo stuff.
Yeah, 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 and it was so much more about, like, Miklo feeling like he could embrace his relationship to the culture or something, like, he was always being like, "This is what
Yeah,
it means, this is what it means," and people were always being like, why are you the authority on what it
right.
means, bro?"
Like you don't get to say what it means.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I know. Like I'm brown on the inside. That's what counts.
It's so good.
An actual line from the movie.
Yeah, that exists, that is on record, that fully exists.
uh,
But again, that's what Shia LaBeouf, I'm sure, was working from in his work
yeah.
as well. Yeah, yeah, it's
Um,
interesting because I think, that's like what Hollywood is so funny at doing is being like, we're trying so hard to honestly portray this
to be
culture.
inclusive. Yeah.
Yes, but we can't help but, like, really get stuck
Mm-mm.
in stereotypes and make sure that, like, there is a white savior of some kind present
Yep.
within these stories. It's just so interesting how, like, Miklo becoming the kingpin of it all and being like, "They're just helping us spread out, like, we're
Yeah.
gonna
I
take
guess at
over."
least he wasn't he was a savior in the gang sense, but I
Eh,
guess he wasn't like, so it's like different in that way. It's not like a savior of like, I have to get you out of the gang culture, like,
yes,
I'm better but it's still weird. It's still
yes,
like no matter what way you slice it, it still came out like a little off because of that.
yes, I'm still
Um,
confused about why the
the
balance was what
message,
it was.
yeah.
Yeah, because like, this is not based on someone's memoir, right?
No.
Okay, yeah, I didn't
Mm-mm.
think so. I just wasn't sure because when they, like, have people and they're like, this is so important," and they try to be authentic, you never know. But, yeah, maybe that makes sense because I know that they also held this movie for a while. So
Mhm.
it's interesting that they, played it safe, predominantly focused on, like, the white character here and still held it
Mhm.
anyway. That's, like, kind of weird to me.
Yeah, this is a we can say that now. This is a Disney movie. It's
Amazing.
crazy I said it. Back when Disney used to make stuff like this.
They did.
Um, but yeah, so the movie was completed 2 years before it was released, and the reason being, why it was shelved for so long was because the LA riots,
Right.
and American Me, which is also one of the writers of this movie, worked on that film. Um, wrote that very similar. If you haven't seen that, like there was honestly parts where I was getting, because I've seen American Me, I haven't seen this one, but there
Okay.
were moments in this film where I was like, okay, is this I think I've seen this before, but I was getting it confused with American Me because it's very similar.
Oh,
There's
snap.
there's a prison plot in there. That one's Edward James Olmos though, but
Okay.
yeah, but very
Okay.
also very good. And it's like again another like life look, like what I mean, complete journey movie.
Okay.
So it was kind of confusing, but anyways, and so yeah, that's why it was held for 2 years. Also, the reason this movie has two names is because of that as well, because they thought "Blood in, Blood Out," which was the motto of the La
Vatos
Onda
Locos.
gang in
Oh,
prison.
my bad. Okay.
uh, they didn't. They felt that that would promote gang violence. People would take away the wrong messages from that. So then that's why they put "Bound by Honor" as the title, because they felt that was more in line with the message to take away from this movie.
I
So
alright.
I don't know where you stand. Blood and Blood Out is a fantastic title, and I hate that Bound by Honor is what's like on the cover, because I've always known this movie to be called Blood and Blood Out. I
Okay.
like literally just watching or doing this watch along was the only time I've ever heard it Bound by Honor. So yeah, that has not lasted or held up well.
No, no, I think
Blood and Blood Out is the message, like that I think that encapsulates it perfectly. Like
yes,
it's so hardcore that it's blood and blood out, and that's how hard it is to get out.
that's
Is
right.
it's blood deep. Like,
That's
I think
right.
that's a perfect fucking title. And Miklo being, part, Hispanic and dealing with that blood message. Yeah. So I don't
Mhm.
know. I thought that was a perfect title.
Yes, I agree. I feel like it's exactly like we were talking about with The Covenant, where it just doesn't make sense that they would change it
Oh yeah.
necessarily,
Interpreter. The
but
interpreter is so much better.
such a better one, but I also understand their, like, hilarious, reasoning in the '90s of, like, if there's another movie that competes, because now I need to see this other movie so that I can also have a better understanding of this kind of storytelling and, like, maybe what was happening, but also it makes perfect sense that the people whoever was at Disney, even though they were risque enough to make this movie, that they would be like,
Yeah.
"That's we're too tight to do something like that." But you're right, like, that is what it is, like,
Mhm.
his blood is why he thinks he's allowed to do the things he does, and, e taking
And they
blood
say
from
that too,
others
right?
is
Like his mom was Mexican, but his dad was
yes.
white, and like he always beat on he tr- his dad tried to beat the Mexican out of him or her. What I don't know. It was
And
yeah.
these
They
very
it was a throwaway line, but I was like, wait, that's like an important like note. Like if
Mhm.
we're focusing on Miklo, we might want to know a little bit about that.
Yes, yes, but it is
Yeah,
kinda brushed over pretty quickly because I think they're trying to have him I guess, like, he's trying to feel like he should only embrace the Latino elements of his identity, and, like,
yeah.
this movie is at least Benjamin Bratt's character, and I think Cruz also, they're trying to challenge that for him and be like,
Hmm.
You cool it. You're"
Right.
like, even though obviously you
You're
have some
embracing the
blood in here.
wrong
Yeah, you're,
the
like,
wrong
almost
part
appropriating
of the
yourself.
culture.
Yes, yes. So that was an
uh
interesting thing, and again, something I think, like, if this movie were to get made today in some way,
oh
would
yeah.
be far more explored and would probably
All
be
Mexican
feel,
cast would
yeah,
not
so
have
much
Miklo in
better.
it.
No, yeah, we would even if we were
We say
dealing
that though,
with
but then they made the tax collector with Shia LaBeouf, so fuck do I know? I don't
that's
know.
true.
Maybe it would be different. That was only a few years ago, folks.
That's very yeah, yeah, it is easily accessible, I wanna say, on Hulu, so if you are looking
Oh,
for,
God.
someone doing an impression of other races, just go right on over there and you'll get it.
Yeah, not a good film. Not a good film, I can't say. This was much
No.
better
Yes.
if we're comparing the 2.
Yeah.
I know you gotta get out of here soon, so let's do some speed around stuff.
Yes,
Let's
please.
combine best stunt, best kill, go. What did you got?
Okay. I mean, the best stunt, I think, it has to be, like, all the amputee leg stuff for sure, just
Yes.
because it looked so good and his double looked really good too. But
Yes.
for the kills, gotta be Delroy Lindo's death.
Oh,
The
yeah.
shock, the change, and also the awesome,
He went on like
visual
a G
effects.
too. He took on like 3 guys and
Sure
they didn't take
did.
they didn't like it wasn't like the first guy. Like, no, he took out one guy,
Mhm.
so that was a good one.
That's right.
Um,
What about you?
yeah, I also was really impressed with the amputated leg stuff because I was like, how are they gonna do this? I'm like, this was 1993, which I believe is the same year as Forrest Gump. So I'm like,
Oh,
what kind of trickery is gonna happen with the Lieutenant Dan,
yep.
stuff? But they didn't do the digital. Probably didn't have the budget of Forrest Gump, honestly.
Nah, nah.
Uh, but they did the other way, which was the traditional way of having a amputee double for him, but like the way that they edited it is very seamless. Couple
Yes.
times noticeable, but like when he's getting in the shower and
Yeah,
he's taking off his prosthetic like while he's in the cell. Very realistic, like very I
really
thought they did a
cool.
night that could have went, a different way too. If we're talking about like that's a whole other, issue of like disabled people
Yes.
that they fit in this movie, but I thought that was really well done before it's kind of like forgotten about after that. But
Yeah.
that little portion was pretty impressive. And then for best kill, same prison kill montage. I thought though the more impressive one was like the burning the head Nazi guy was
Yes.
fucking pretty crazy because that guy was a dick the whole movie too. So that was very satisfying. And
Mhm.
then another one where they linger on the stunt man just in that suit, just flailing around like oof.
Burning. Mhm.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. I mean, all the kills in that sequence though were horrific and violent.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, for a
um,
Disney movie, the kills were not too
yeah,
shabby, at
yeah,
all, and, yeah, I think that there was, like, that other one where Trejo's just, like, walking through and someone is hanging from the rafters, just, like,
yep.
bleeding down.
The blood comes down on him. Yep.
Pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm so glad we did this movie.
Yeah.
I feel embarrassed that I didn't know about it earlier, that I hadn't seen it yet, but I
No,
am
I hadn't seen it
grateful
either.
to know about
It's
it.
yeah, it's one like I always, my dad always talked about or whatever is one of the best Latino gang movies out there. So glad to have finally seen it. And then I'll do speed around trivia real quick,
Yeah, give it to me.
just the most important ones, because I was interested too about some of the background. So Damian Chapa, Benjamin Bratt, and Jesse Borrego, the three brothers, live with real gang members in East Los Angeles for 3 months in order to help them develop the characters they are portraying, perfect their roles. Um, the
Cool.
Hispanic prison gang La Onda is fictional, but the gang is based on real life Mexican mafia prison gangs. The other two gangs, the BGA, Black Guerrilla Army, and the Aviers, the Aryan Vanguard,
Okay.
are based off of the Black Guerrilla family and the Aryan Brotherhood, which are the
Real.
real
Yep.
counterparts. Yeah. The Pinot iconic tree that is shown throughout the film to symbolize brotherhood still stands. It is now considered a historical monument and will not be permitted to be cut down for any reason. I thought that was really
Nice.
cool.
Yes.
um,
I gotta go hike to it.
right. Michael Mann was considered to direct the film. I thought that would have been amazing if that happened.
Yes. Oh, man, if that happened, this movie, it'd have a different life for sure.
And then the last one, this was really did not expect this piece of trivia for this movie, but at the time of the film's release, two soundtracks were planned, one of pre-recorded music under the Disney label, and then the second one was to be done by Academy Award winner Bill Conti, who had an aggressive Latin score to be released on a different label. The first one was released under Disney, titled Blood In Blood Out, but then like because of the title change and the shelving and all that, the second CD got made but wasn't released. But it's so because of that, it's one of the rarest soundtracks in existence, rarely available for sale. And so yeah, one of the
Wow.
rarest soundtracks is from Blood In Blood Out because of that history.
Oh, that's amazing. I'd love to have a Blood In, Blood Out vinyl of the record.
I thought
That'd
the
be
music
pretty
was
sick.
great. The whoever
Yes.
did the Disney version, I like again, really putting you into this world through the music too.
Mhm.
So
I
yeah.
wish Disney would make more movies like this. I know
Oh, for
they've
sure. I know.
acquired, like, Fox or whatever, so they've at least acquired, like, some picture houses that still make movies like this, so we'll see.
The
We'll
Last
see.
Duel, that was like the last, but that was an acquisition from Fox, like you said. Yeah,
God,
but
come on. We can hope, we can hope.
yeah.
Alright,
Yeah,
cool.
but I think yeah, that wraps it up. Let's get our plugs in. Let's get out of here. Remind the
Awesome.
people where they can find you.
Well, first and foremost, be sure to follow the show at Action Movie Buff so you never miss a minute of the action. And please follow me on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook at Shanny B Movies.
Yes, and then don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Leave a positive review, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. Follow me on Twitter at rampage_misfit, and then my movie page is at misfit_minded on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks again for listening. We'll catch you next time on another edition of Movie Buffs.